Welcome back to 60 Miles from Anywhere. This is Clinton Harris, and today I'm recording from my spot between Pagosa Springs and Durango, Colorado. You might hear a little bit of background sound. That's going to be the rain and possibly thunder. And hopefully I'm in a place where flash floods aren't going to keep me here for a couple more days. Right now I have zero cell coverage, so people are probably wondering where I am right now, but that's okay. I'm fine. I have plenty of food in the fridge. Solar panels are working great. And sometimes it's really just nice to disconnect from everything in the world. If you were like me and you grew up in the 80s and 90s, and yeah, I know I'm dating myself on this, but that's one of the strange things about everybody being so connected with the internet and cell phones and everything else is back in the day, people just didn't know where you were. It was one of the strangest things compared to how people are today, where everybody knows where everybody's at. I have an app on my phone that my folks can keep tabs on me wherever I show up. And honestly, sometimes it annoys the hell out of me. It's just one of those kind of things that I think I grew up in an era where it was okay that people didn't know where you were constantly. It was okay that people didn't know what you had for dinner or what you thought of whatever politician or just about anything, Real Housewife of whatever city was annoying you the most. People weren't that connected. People weren't that invested in each other's lives. And in the same token, people weren't as lonely as they were either. I don't understand what that's all about. There's probably some kind of deep psychological study going on someplace about the effects of complete connection with everybody else is also alienating and isolating everybody else at the same time. I don't know. It'd be pretty interesting if there was. For the last couple of days, I've been chasing the seasons. I've been at this perpetual stage of the leaves just starting to change for the last 2 weeks. It's been pretty incredible. Right now, I'm looking out the window of my bus and I see green leaves of desert oak and some aspens mixed in with the yellow and gold leaves. This might actually be the longest autumn I've experienced in my entire life. Usually it goes from just a couple of leaves turning to the white stuff flying and then everything is dead for the next 6 months. That's pretty much how things have been my whole life. And since I mentioned it, this is what I've been up to the last couple of days that I've had zero cell reception. Let's see, I've cooked a couple of different meals. I have cleaned the bus. I have finished my first YouTube video, everything except for the thumbnail picture. And that was incredible. That was a lot of fun to do, actually. I realized that I really do like editing video and putting things together, and the voice narration was a lot of fun. It doesn't sound a lot of, how do I put this? It's not exactly like happy, this first episode, but I think I'm just kind of trying to set the mood. This is telling a story. I'm trying to shoot the YouTube videos like a documentary about everything, and there's some backstory behind all of that, where it's like, as a writer and apparently as a videographer right now, it's all about storytelling. So it's not necessarily, it's not necessarily there to entertain or whatever. It's there to tell a story. I'm kind of off tonight. I'm just kind of recording from the hip. I really don't plan on doing many edits because I really don't care. These are just my thoughts. And if you want to come along for the ride, so be it. But not having connectivity to the internet and to all the apps and everything else like that really freed up a lot of time. Like I said, I was able to do my YouTube video. I finished reading a book. I started reading another book. I took a couple of naps. I did a lot of writing. I'm getting a lot of work done. And even though I'm kind of out in the sticks right now and I can't publish anything and it's harder to do research and that kind of stuff, I'm just really buckling down. And there's a point where it's like I can only do so much. And then I take a nap, or Penny and I go on a hike. And I think I've already hiked about 2 miles today, just up and down the road. I even ran. I haven't run in years. And, I'm at an altitude where I can actually breathe oxygen. It's when you're living at such high altitude all the time, one of the perks about that is you get more red blood cells. And I actually went to the doctor, I think a year back, and they checked my blood and they said, I have too many red blood cells. And I said, so what do we do about that? And they said, well, you can donate blood. And I was kind of like, isn't that pretty much just taking us back to leeches and bloodletting? There are some things I really do like about this life so far, and I'm ironing out the kinks as I go. One of the things that I really love is the seclusion, the isolation, the peace and quiet. You're actually forced to sit in your own thoughts and just think sometimes and just be present in the moment. It's meditative. I almost feel like some kind of a monk on a mountainside sometimes. Some of the things that I don't like about it is hitting my head constantly, because the ceiling is not, I think it's just 6 feet, so I just barely clear. But it curves, so that just means the very center of the bus is 6 feet, and everything else drops down anywhere between, I think, 54 inches and 6 feet on a curve. So I'm constantly whacking my head on stuff. I'm getting used to it, though. I'm starting to get better with my spatial awareness, I guess it is. Another thing that I really don't like is the lock on my bus. You have to lock it inside, go around. You have to do this whole shuffle around the bus just to lock or unlock things. I don't like the gas mileage, but maybe it's the gas mileage isn't as much of a problem as the fact that gasoline is so frigging expensive. The lowest that I encountered was $3.76, and that was down in, I believe it was Monte Vista, Colorado. And it was $3.76. Maybe the cheaper one next to that was $3.73. And I started climbing back up into the mountains again. Pagosa Springs hit $4.29, which was comparable to northern Colorado. It would be nice if they could get the gas prices back down, because this conspiracy theorist part of my brain says that the government does not want people moving around. They don't want people doing anything other than staying in one little place so they can control them, and then they can shovel a bunch of crap at them like Netflix or, whatever stupid app is on their phone or whatever, just to control people. Like mushrooms. Keep them in the dark and feed them shit. And that's one of the things that is becoming very conscious or very present in my mind, is thinking about just this rat race that everybody's obsessed with. We have to have the best toys. We have to have the biggest house. We have to have the flashiest car that we can't even drive anywhere because gasoline is so frigging expensive. And then we miss out on all these things outside. We miss out on connecting with people. And I know that I've been kind of a hermit, and there is this dangerous fork in the road that I've been considering today, where it's like, it would be so easy to become a hermit. And maybe that's just what I am, is I'm a hermit on wheels. But there's something nice about just being in the moment, reading books, enjoying peace and quiet, just having a joyful experience that isn't dependent on someone else. And yeah, I mean, I'm a person. I crave connection with others. But one of the cool things that I've kind of found out is I've been reading books. I'm actually reading books. This is the first time in years that I've actually sat down and read books. And I missed books. I mean, gosh, there are so many badly written books out there. It's just, That's the problem, is you don't want to drop $16 on something and then hate it after the first 20 pages. It's very rare that you can actually find something that you want to stick with throughout the duration of the book. Usually something happens that pisses you off, or you just think, how did this get published? This is awful. What's ironic about some of the conspiracy type things that I've been thinking about lately, maybe that's part of being a hermit, as you start seeing things from the outside and making connections. Maybe the connections are real, maybe they're not. I don't know, but one of the things that I do continually see is just how funneled and corralled we are, controlled, manipulated. We're told to look at this over here while ignoring that over there. They drag out these old chestnuts, like how awful race relations are in this country. I don't think race relations are nearly as bad as they were in the 60s when people were getting fire hoses and attack dogs sicked on them. But, we're told that now is just as bad as it is then. Really, the only people saying how bad it is now is the media, because they want to stir shit up. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I see a lot of people that are out there genuinely just good people. Like, I think that the vast majority of people out there are actually good. They're actually wanting the same things. They don't want to hurt other people. They just want to live their lives. They want to make sure their families are fed. They want to make sure that they're happy. And we're told this whole other story. And I think it's to keep us in a constant state of flux. About the only animosity that I've seen in my travels so far has been in these tourist towns where these people are just so bone weary of tourists. And it's the end of the season. It's really getting later into the season. And then I think the further south I go, the season is actually opening up, because that's where all the snowbirds and people like me that are chasing the seasons are headed. But when I went through Pagosa Springs, you could just tell the exhaustion on people. It was just like, if I have to talk to another tourist, I might pull out all of my hair. And just from how I grew up, I just remember we used to get a lot of very rude tourists. All they ever did in my town was basically the bathroom break between larger towns. So if they were going from Fort Collins to Steamboat, they would stop off in Walden, just use the shitter in the gas station. Maybe they'd stop by for lunch. And they kind of treated the people in town accordingly. And the people in town, they really weren't having it either. So there was always kind of this level of, ugh. They were just all sick of each other. And I'm kind of just seeing that here. It reminds me, I used to go to Renaissance festivals a lot when I was in college. And we would go throughout the summer. And my friends and I, we would totally geek out, dress up, carry swords around. It was excellent. It was so much fun. But we did notice that the first weekend that they had the Renaissance Festival, everybody was on. They were just like, woo, and in character and using the fake accents, and it was just this electricity. By the end of the summer, people had just had enough. And the very last day, the friends that we had made at the Renaissance Festival were very just low-key, casual. They were just done with it, though. They were exhausted. And you could tell that it lasted exactly as long as it needed to last. And I kind of think that's how the towns are that I've been going through lately. Some of these tourist towns, they're just done. They're kind of done selling the t-shirts and the mugs and the caps and everything else. And it's just time for them to do something else and relax. And I really can't say as I blame them very much. But so far, that's been the extent of anybody's shitty attitude or behavior or anything like that. So I stopped off at this really interesting place, speaking of tourist towns. And it is a place in South Fork, Colorado. called An Angler's Bookcase. And I just stopped in for coffee. I missed International Coffee Day by a day. So I went in and got coffee the next day. I was camped out in the hills above South Fork. And I came back down into town. And I did a load of laundry. And as I was doing a load of laundry, I went and got a cup of coffee at this place called An Angler's Bookcase. And it was pretty cool because I started looking around. I just expected it to be like a normal coffee place. And it was a library. It wasn't a library. It was a bookstore. Like, you don't see bookstores anymore, hardly ever. But this bookstore was incredible because 90% of the books there, other than like a wall that they had that was just some used books, and they had some best of science fiction anthologies and a couple other different books. But you walk into this other area and it is nothing but fishing books, like books about fly fishing, books about salmon of the world, Audubon guides, fiction, just anything having to do with fishing or fly fishing was in this library. And it was a good-sized bookstore. I don't know why I keep saying library. I think because the way it was set up, it almost looked like all reference books. But I bought a book there called A Good Life Wasted, or 20 Years as a Fishing Guide by Dave Ames. And I just started thumbing through the book. I don't even know why I picked it up. But the story is, let's see. I will read the description of the book from the back. Told through the eyes of a longtime Montana fishing guide, an itinerant fishing bum, A Good Life Wasted offers a unique perspective on an implausible period in the recent history of human civilization. When Dave Ames started guiding, Rocky Mountain locals rode horses and dug camas roots, Now they're trading stock options on cell phones. The collision of stone and computer ages was short-lived, but the deep-rooted themes of this book remain. A Good Life Wasted, a chronicle and celebration of the fishing guide life, is poignant and spiritual. Its Blackfoot Indians and copper miners' daughters, its fiddles and guitars and the fabric of space. It's about what happens to wild people when the wilderness is gone. And the author description is Dave Ames, over the past 20 years, has averaged perhaps 150 days of fly fishing each year as an outfitter and guide. He lives in Montana, spending much of his time in pursuit of trout and grayling. I don't have my glasses on, so he has written for the Chicago Tribune, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Sports Afield, Fin and Feather, and Montana Magazine. He also authored the fly fishing cult classic True Love and the Woolly Bugger. He lives in Helena, Montana. Just an incredibly written book. I started reading it yesterday when I started camping, and I'm already halfway through it. So I've been doing a lot of reading, and just last night I finished Sylvia Plath's book, The Bell Jar. Now, this is completely different from Dave Ames's book on fly fishing stories, but I do have to say that the Sylvia Plath book is possibly one of the most overrated books that they teach in college curriculum in the 20th and 21st centuries. I was all stoked to read the book. The first couple of chapters were incredible. It was, I don't know about incredible. They were pretty good. I love Sylvia Plath's poetry, but this book was boring. It was pointless, and the writing in it was just so elementary. I don't even know why it's taught. And I almost feel like I wasted time on the book. So as soon as I find one of those little kiosks, those little lending libraries in a small town someplace, I'm probably going to inflict the Sylvia Plath damage onto some other poor sucker by sticking it into one of those. Um, 3 out of 10, wouldn't recommend. So far, A Good Life Wasted, independently published, Dave Ames, and he did get a publisher after he published himself. It's published by the Lions Press. Great book. Pick it up if you can find it. If you can't find it, order it online. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon, even though Amazon sucks. And the reason I say Amazon sucks, and I'm just kind of going off on a rant here, is I have probably sold maybe 100 copies of my book, Song of the Cinder. And you know what? I never see royalties for that thing. I never get a kickback on that book. And you get online and it's like you can find 5 or 6 different people that are advertising that they're selling it, but I'm not getting those kickbacks. And I think Amazon ought to have a little bit of some answers for people, because I don't think I'm the only one that happens to. Anyway, I'm just kind of riffing. Looking out the window, it's getting darker. It's nearly 6 o'clock tonight. My solar system has been working great, just in case anybody is curious about that. Right now, if I look at my app, because, everything's on your phone these days, I can actually check the power controller on my phone through a Bluetooth, and I'm pulling in 4 watts of solar because it's been overcast and rainy most of the day. My battery's holding 13.1 volts, and my load output is nothing right now. I don't have anything plugged in. I'm not running any interior lights or anything like that. So I'm getting very few watts in, putting out almost nothing, and the battery is holding great. So that Victron controller, boy, I wish I could get a sponsorship with them, because I would tell everybody that was into solar and the van life, get yourself a Victron MPPT controller. It will make a world of difference. And maybe that's my commercial. Actually, if I was to do a commercial, I could probably promote Anchor, Anker. And if you go on my website, www.60milesfromanywhere.com, you can click on links that'll take you to Anchor.com, and I'll get a kickback on that if you order a solar generator. So it's kind of a neat deal where they have removable solar panels that you just lay out, and then it goes into a generator, and it stores all that energy in a nifty little battery for you to take wherever the heck you want to go. Whether it's camping, fishing, hiking, I don't know. Are you really going to hike with a 30-pound generator? No, you're not. So, yeah, I've got affiliate links for that and all sorts of other great stuff that you can look at on my website. And you can also follow along with what I'm doing on this journey at www.60milesfromanywhere.com. And keep yourself in the loop if you really want to. So I've been jabbering on for 24 minutes now, so I think it's time to do something else for a little bit. I just wanted to kind of keep everybody updated that's listening, all 6 of you. And hope you have a great week. It is Sunday, October 1st. And if you're listening, happy birthday, Tiff. Have a good night.